Sobat Kompor, selamat bertemu lagi dengan kami. Kali ini masih di ID NOK 9. Kami akan melakukan interview dengan Om Barry.
Barry Greene.
Barry Greene.
Am I right?
Just Greene.
Oh, Greene. Oh, Om Barry Greene.
Greene.
Yeah.
It's not how you pronounce.
Just Greene.
Just
Greene.
Yeah.
Because
Silent E. Yeah.
yeah, because I have one scientist that names Brian Greene.
Yes.
Is you are
Not my
a relative?
Not my relative.
Not a relative. Okay.
I know he's talking about string theory. Yeah.
I have another brother
Yes.
who is Brian Greene. He's also a scientist.
Oh,
okay.
interesting.
No, physicist.
Brian.
To Brian. Sobat Kompor, Om Brian ini walaupun jarang disebut, tapi termasuk orang yang ikut mendevelop ya, membangun, men-set up Indonesian Internet Exchange
Iya, awal-awal sekali.
di tahun 2000 berapa? What was the year you set up?
1997 is when we took three. We
Yeah.
had three internet exchanges.
But
1997.
I mean everything.
Let's
So exciting.
let's Om Barry explain it himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Please explain your background.
Your background.
Where you came from and why you were interested to help Indonesia.
Why you involved in Indonesia?
So my background is I'm what you would call the second generation of internet activist.
Second generation.
So you had like the Vince Cerf,
Vince
Bob
Cerf.
Cobb,
yeah.
the early pioneers.
Yeah, early,
John
yeah.
Postel.
John
right?
Postel.
So I come in the mid '80s, right?
Yeah.
I was in the United States Air Force, starting to use and build out internet work. So I left the Air Force, and I was helping to build out U.S. military backgrounds. Then through my wife, this is important because she's part of the Indonesian internet history. So she was Singaporean, Lina Ravindran, right? And she in the telecom world. And through her, I started meeting people in the IT world. I was internet side, so
Yeah.
she was telecom and I was internet.
In
Right?
Indonesia.
So perfect
then-
combination.
That's when I came out to through her came out to Singapore Telecom,
Feedback.
right? So started SingNet.
Singnet.
Worked on the collaboration in Singapore. And one of the things that Lina saw was in the region in 94, 95, 96, we didn't have enough fiber optic in the ocean.
Yeah.
So we had
yes.
a problem
We had a
on
problem.
telecom internationally was very expensive. So she came up with this technique of doing VSATs,
Oh,
right? Doing VSAT, internet over VSAT, right?
for the downlink.
So she took over the VSAT business in Singapore Telecom. She put a VSAT into like, at that time it was like SAT to Indosat, right? And then I would put the internet in,
Oh.
or
Okay.
Pacific Internet. Had a colleague of mine, Lim
Yes.
Hakun, at Pacific Internet. So we started to build up the internet
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the region with VSAT.
I remember that time. I remember
Yeah.
because I'm
So it's
using
a
the
downlink
VSAT
uplink
in
through,
97.
VSAT.
Right,
Oh,
because we didn't have enough fiber optic.
Yeah, there's no.
Usually
no fiber optic.
Remember that for the uplink we use
Right.
what do you call it, the fiber optic.
Right.
For the downlink we use.
And that was one of the techniques. We did this asymmetric. So
Asymmetrical.
people understand. So satellite, you can send it in one direction. So what we would do is we'd send a packet out via fiber
Yeah.
across the ocean, and they'll come back over
Come
satellite.
back over satellite. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of those techniques because we didn't have a lot of capacity. Today in Indonesia, everybody is like, wow, so fast because we got all these fiber optic links.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? You
We are in different era now.
back in the mid 90s,
Yeah.
Yeah.
ingenuity, right? So what happened around 1996, 97 is you had the start of internet exchange points in Indonesia. But you had like company A, company B, company C. So
Yeah.
there was three major companies. And of course, those are the days where, and still today, people didn't know the value of collaboration.
Yes.
Right? It's very important to collaborate. So this is where APCI started coming,
Okay.
right? So APCI started saying, we're trying to figure out how to get everybody to collaborate, right? So I was at Cisco Systems at the time and then working with APCI on this collaboration because the passion. That's how we are all like here at ID Nog. It's all everybody talking to each other.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody working with each other.
Yes.
And tomorrow I could need your help to fix a problem.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
collaborate.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. That is the internet spirit.
Right. It's
Yeah.
the internet spirit.
Yeah.
So Tony comes in and says, Barry, we need help. So I would give talks at all three.
Which story? Which story?
Tony Tony Herrick.
Herman.
Yeah, Terry Helman. Right.
Right,
Over
right.
CB. Yeah.
The CBN.
Yeah.
CBN.
Right. Harriman. Right. Tony Harriman.
Tony Hariman. Oh, Tony
Yeah.
Hariman. Yeah.
You can see, we'll share on the podcast, we have the original IIX, you know.
Original IX
I don't
document.
think anybody in Indonesia have this. Even PUBG also, I don't think they have it.
So
this is the first setup. The first setup.
It's an UpG project. It's one of the first UpG projects.
So this is a cooperation between two companies.
Three companies.
Three companies.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
no UpG yet, yeah?
UpG was just being created.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Oh.
UpG was being created, and UpG was going around helping to build the spirit of collaboration,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's the again, working together,
Okay.
right? And it was unique in Asia Pacific as three companies working together that way,
Yeah.
because usually they're competing,
Dia complain.
right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you had, a exchange point in Surabaya, and an exchange point in Badung, and an exchange point in
In
Jakarta,
Jakarta. Yeah.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And we started getting traffic staying in Indonesia.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. So
Right.
at that initial time, you said that there are three IX. Is it?
Yes. Each company would create an
Oh,
IX.
each company.
Right.
Which is Indosat,
Satu Indo, and it was the university. It was a university in Badung.
ITB.
Yeah.
ITB.
Let's see. I gotta go back. The history of it.
Yeah, because what history that we know is in UI and ITB.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
On
Which
that
is
time.
They are
But
also
They have a PAU.
aggregate for initial time.
Yeah.
Right.
1980 something. Aggregate for the Southeast Asia, including Australia and those guys.
Right.
Before the TCP/IP happened.
So when we share this document, we have all the BGP configs and things like that.
Wow.
wow.
Wow. That's very
So
good.
it's an
this-
architecture document for like how to connect up
Wow.
each router.
I don't
Yeah.
think any people in Indonesia have this. Eh?
You should
Yeah.
please keep this document.
We will share it so everybody here
Yeah.
can say, look at the history.
Yeah,
I'm one of board trustee of also in PUBG.
Yeah.
I think I will put this document in the website.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about our historical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our historical.
But notice the collaboration was the key.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's part of the strength here in Indonesia. Because years later, when I was helping Smart Friend in Morital, working there,
Yeah.
the reason I came out and said yes, right? Because I wasn't really looking, but the reason I came out and said yes, some people say is like, oh, being the director at a company, is actually the team. The thing that convinced me was the team that sits over at BSD, the technical team over there was like, loved it. That's why I had a blast.
Okay.
Any big company you have politics, but it was. I'm a geek at heart.
Yeah.
I'm a geek who likes to collaborate. A geek who likes to sit down next to each other and say, "Hey, let's figure this problem
Let's
out
figure
together."
That's how it cohesive with
Yeah.
people, right? Because the same patience or interest in the, as a geeks and
Yes.
also solve problems in technically.
Yeah. So that's the. So that's why my years living here. That was the really big fun of it, was working with the engineering team
Thanks.
and the operations team.
So you are very influential actually in the setup of the IX, which is I can say that forgotten by some people, which is the youngest, especially is my generation. So
Yeah.
because you came out to IDNO, your name came out on IDNO, and some people told to me that Barry is
one-
Barry
Is the one of involved in setting up the IX. Yeah.
Send you WhatsApp and then ask for this interview. So okay, let's go back to the initial time. I think
Right.
you thought that there's a collaboration. So how is it started again?
So I went, so for myself, with the early OPSI team, I would come in and I did probably 3 trips where I'd come to Indonesia, I'd do little workshops for each of the companies,
Yes.
convincing them, getting them where, some of it was convincing them to show how they're going to make money.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Oh, that's it's important.
Because you give like one example.
Yeah.
At the same time this was happening in Malaysia, we had challenges because you had Telecom Malaysia and Jaring competing with each other.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't interconnect.
Yeah,
They would interconnect in the West Coast of the United States.
yeah,
And that doesn't work. So there was an opportunity over a weekend to do a test because there was a equipment rack where you had a Telecom Malaysia router and a Jaring router, and then we put a switch in between and interconnected, and all of a sudden everybody went like over the weekend, wow, why is it so fast?
yeah,
That's in Malaysia.
Right. And so the same sort of thing happened once we got the 3 exchange points as interconnected.
Indonesia.
Because people go like, oh, this is so much faster. Now what happens, a lot of people don't understand that, you know, your speed over your connection,
Yeah.
the throughput, is 2 variables. There's a variable of how much you can put over the wire,
Yes.
and then there's time.
Latency and
Latency.
and,
Yeah.
bandwidth.
So your latency, because there's a time period of the packet goes over, packet comes back.
Yes.
So it's those ratio of how much bandwidth you can do, and then how much time you have with the latency. And a lot of telecom executives who
Yeah.
were running companies and crunching the numbers, they didn't understand the
The
difference.
the difference, yeah,
They just said bandwidth.
yeah.
It's the difference. So if you shorten,
Shorten
Link.
block and then that's
you get more data
Yes.
faster,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And they go, no, it's 120. Those days, it's 128 kilobits.
yeah, yeah,
broadband,
yeah.
right?
That's broadband.
That's broadband there.
Yeah.
Oh, the 128. It's just like, well, the amount of data you can get through with the given amount of time. And so I would do like these business. So part of it would be technical, other part of it would be business.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I run businesses and the telecom stuff, I can switch between like, here's how you configure a router, here's how you run your spreadsheet to make money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
So,
how the policy
wait.
making. I mean, the executive will make the decision whether they wanna,
Yes.
this, right?
But the first time I realized the efficiency of the exchange because they have less hop.
Yes.
Yeah. So because used to be they go to US first,
Right.
and then they go back to Indonesia.
Yes.
But then they build IAX, and then suddenly there's less hop.
Right.
Yeah, less hop, and then it's faster.
So the first idea is
Yeah.
came from you or Pak Tony?
Pak Tony in the region. So in '96, I left Singapore Telecom and went to Cisco Systems. And there are several initiatives I started up at Cisco Systems. One of them was the Internet Exchange Point program, right? Which was, let's put internet exchanges all over the world. So myself, and then later you'll hear like Philip Smith is another person. He
Yes,
was also,
definitely.
we're part of the same initiative,
Yeah.
right? We are also doing conferences. So actually we had our first workshop. So that was another thing we did, is we did a internet service provider workshop that Opshi sponsored with Cisco. And we did that here to teach people how to configure the routers.
At that years.
And
That was in '97 also.
97.
Yeah,
It's very
Because-
early, yeah?
Fairly early.
you know, in because those are important times. You know, you can say to do it, but can you configure it?
It's not much knowledge of people like today's, yeah, for the how to operate.
Well, even today, you'd be surprised how many people forget how to configure the routers properly.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
That's
We-
why it still happen
we-
like
We only know several people who really expert on how to do it properly.
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
Actually, we'll
There's
get
only
back to
few
that
people.
later on, yeah?
Yeah.
There's we just do an interview. Then they said that you should have a standard. paper of knowledge, so like a CCNI and those kind of things.
Certification maybe. Certification.
It will be 10 years from now. So this is future. Jump to the future.
Yeah, let's go back later on. This
Yeah,
is
we'll
just
go
a
to the
note.
future. We'll talk about that with the
Yeah,
future.
yeah. This is
Where we're
just
heading.
to remind me later
Yes,
on. Okay.
yeah.
So go back to your time. So it is Tony or Om Tony or Om Barry that initiate that time. Since you have a
Right.
collaboration
But
with this group.
the key thing to remember is that my role was like a cheerleader, and a convincer.
Yeah, yeah.
If you didn't, because there are other countries at the same time in Asia Pacific
Yeah.
who didn't have, Indonesia was one of the easiest countries to get collaborating because it's in the spirit of the country,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So it's one of the strengths here with it is you have that. Oh, let's get people together and let's collaborate. Well, it's much easier in Indonesia because it's just
Thank you for that. I
Part
a
of-
little bit goosebumps actually because of the word.
there are other countries in the world that are like you can get two people sitting down and working together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the spirit.
Is
we
it that
need
is
to-
quite easy in Indonesia, yeah?
We need to
Yeah.
maintain this spirit.
We need to
Right.
maintain that.
Which is a strength. I mean, give it an example. My wife, because my wife and I are partners, we do a lot of technical stuff together.
Yeah.
So when we were living here in like 2014, she was doing she was a judge at a hackathon,
Yeah.
right? So and the
Hackathon?
hackathon was sponsored by the Jakarta Water Company, right? And they thought they were going to have maybe 20 teens from different colleges.
Yeah.
Okay, there are 250 teens that showed up. The place is packed with students, all eager and entrepreneurs with this hackathon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's Indonesian spirit.
It's not only
Yeah.
population, but the spirit of
The
making
spirit,
Spirit of like,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the. So it's you are the cheerleader. So I mean the initiative actually came up also from the local teams, right?
Yes. It was the local teams who were saying like, can we do more? How do we do this? Barry, we got 3 different organizations who all want to be exchange points. What do we do? And I said, well, let's make them all. Let's interconnect all 3. Let's collaborate, right? And they say, oh, will it work? Well, we kind of did it in Singapore, but Singapore was like special because it's a little city, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Singapore likes to think themselves bigger, but it's still a little city.
It's fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Or like the joke here in Indonesia, they say, "Oh, Singapore's 5-star, right, with the stars." That's what we did in Singapore. We took the 3 ISPs
Yes.
and we interconnected. And so, and I suggested, why don't we do the same thing in Indonesia? Let's take the 3. And then what will happen, and that's what we've seen as the IIX evolve.
Yeah.
Right, it evolved over time, but it evolved to the strength it is today with multiple
You know
locations.
How many?
You know how many ISPs now?
How many now? What's
13 tera.
1,000?
11 to 13
Wow.
tera.
How many? 1,034? What?
right? So we started back in '97 with. There's still a lot. I mean, there was I don't know. Looks to be 15, 16, 97 ISPs. These are all,
ISP.
yeah.
No,
These
ISP.
are all ISPs.
Okay. Now ISP is around 1,040
Yeah.
something. ISP. But
1,040s,
the traffic is
yeah.
11 tera. 11
Yeah.
to 13 tera.
11 terabytes. Wow.
A lot.
Yeah,
Instead of
it's a huge.
56K, it's like
Let's get back to the initial one. So, who are the volunteers? You are cheerleader for them, and who are the local?
I have to remember because it was so long ago.
At least one Tony, yeah?
Yeah, Tony was.
Tony,
others.
you remember?
How about
Uh,
Johar? Yeah, do you remember Johar?
Yes, he was one of.
Sanjaya?
Sanjaya.
Yeah.
They is here actually.
Yeah, I know. We saw each other earlier. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, they are, yeah.
yeah. So it'll be fun to go back in my email archives and find all the people involved.
We can do
You
that
know.
again.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
including those
Yeah.
together with you, yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of your reunion
Start of reunion with Sanjaya, with Pak Tony, Om Tony.
But I think my role there was as cheerleader, because one of the things to remember is that I helped, get everybody like, hey, we can do this. You can do this. And then once you taught several people, here's how you set up the configuration of the routers, I wasn't called back.
Oh yeah.
It just kept on going and going and going and going, right? So it was very much of, yes, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to help, but it was very much once people said, oh, here's how we collaborate, here's how we configure,
And then they can run by itself.
it was just going with the energy and the enthusiasm of the teams here in Indonesia, right?
And then they keep growing.
Then then I come back in and visit, and it keeps on growing and
Keep growing,
right? So it's all because you have, like we talked earlier before recording, the volunteers, the people who put the energy into
to
it,
it,
the people who simple things like spend time with each other. Hey, let's go get together for coffee and dinner and hang out and talk internet stuff, even though they're competitors. Right? And they, that
It's
is
true.
that just kept on going and going, and now we got that.
Yes. So, so I remember that there's support from Cisco. Did you donate
Yes,
hardware also?
those are the easy. Donating hardware is easy.
Donate hardware is easy.
So
Because again, so here's a couple of routers and an Ethernet switch, right? And each location had some. Okay, fine. It's a piece of box. It's a box. It just sits there. Unless you have some engineer doing something with it, it's just a box. So again, the volunteerism. It's like, you got groups like ID Nog here. So if you're listening to this and you want to get involved, get busy, sign up ID Nog, say, I will volunteer.
Yes.
I will help out.
We need more volunteer.
It's one of the, and that sort of, it takes the people's effort, right?
Because internet also is not about networking alone now.
Right.
Yeah, you talk about security, you talk about another technology, you talk about social
Many things now.
ethics of this is like digital literacy of the internet literacy. That's part of this. Because it touches
Everything's in our life, touching by internet.
It's in my early presentations, early internet society, I was involved with the early internet society in the US and then in Singapore. And I would do, in my talk, people think the internet, I do this cloud and all these computers and devices. It says, people think this is the internet. I go like, no. I flipped them all and I said, all these people. The internet, what made the internet as a technology different from other technologies? Because back in the late 80s, we had BitNet and UUNet and this IPXPS. We had a bunch of backbones. The internet always had this spirit of how do we connect two people so you can talk to each other and collaborate. Oh, there's a technical barrier. Okay? So the Internet Engineering Task Force would say, okay, how do we remove the technical barrier so people can communicate? Right.
So we can connect without barrier.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is a strength in Indonesia because it's a very social community.
Yes.
So take 2014, I'm here over at SmartFriend in Moratel, and U.S. government finds me because they want to influence Indonesia on cybersecurity. And immediately I go like, okay, let me go talk to my friends here who are working on what we now have the government groups. And I said, don't listen. Sorry, if you're from the U.S. and you're hearing this, sorry. I said, don't listen to the United States. You have to do things Indonesian style. And I said, talk to Finland, talk to South Korea, right? They will help teach you. And immediately what they did is they created a WhatsApp group, which is still in existence today, of a whole bunch of the CISOs and CIOs
Oh, okay.
Okay.
in Indonesia. It's very talkative. Extremely talkative. Talk. Talk. All over again.
Yeah.
But it's some of the best intel that I get. So I'm fortunate because I'm still on there, right, from back in 2014, and I get some of the best intel on that from this community here in Indonesia of cybersecurity leaders, right?
Yeah.
It fits the culture,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's people connected to each other.
Yeah.
But that's run by volunteers,
Yes.
Yes.
right?
Yeah. We actually have. I missed Didin.
Yeah.
Didin. We have Didin, which is.
Which is part of our
Yes.
He's on ID
podcast.
City or
Yeah.
whatever you know Didin.
Yeah.
You know Didin.
Yes. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. He's supposed to be talkative.
Yeah. It's talkative in the person and
Yeah.
also in the messaging.
Yes.
So, yeah, so security is a part of it. I think I did not also should be put in focus on that. I know that NOC is a network, but
Yeah.
security is
Yeah.
should be. That's why I think we should, after this interview, we should talk together later on how we can.
So it's
collaborative on that.
Yeah.
from 90 until now. It's been what, 20, 30 years, 25 years?
So,
Yes.
Yes,
97.
97.
Yeah. With the IRS.
Almost 30 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost 30 years.
what's the traffic at that time?
Hmm?
100
When you started?
Still, or the big one?
Oh, the links between the three was 128 kilobit per second between three exchange points.
So it's 128 km.
But the capacity, I mean, the usage?
Yeah.
The usage is.
Oh, it was full right away.
Oh, it's
Oh,
But immediately upgrade.
and then they keep upgrading.
because, yes.
Because within the region, we had already started what is called AP mesh. So when I was at Singapore Telecom, we're trying to figure out how to not use the United States as the place for Asia Pacific exchange.
Yeah.
So there was a colleague of mine at KDD in Japan, Mr. Obata, and he at the same time as I was researching at Singtel, we were looking at how you interconnected voice circuits in telecom,
In telecom.
where you did, KDD would pay for half and Singtel would pay for half. Then you had an international circuit. That's how it worked then.
Yes, okay.
Different today, but that's back then.
That is how it works. Yeah,
Right?
that is how it works.
So we came up with a technique where it's a very simple international peering, right?
Yeah.
Where KDD pays for half and Singtel pays for half. And then you put a quality of service metric to automatically upgrade, which is what you would do for voice. But voice was like really tiny circuits. Here we're doing bandwidth. So he worked the north, I worked the south, and we started interconnecting. So Indosat and Sato Indo started connecting that way. So we started connecting with each other within the region.
Oh.
We started shifting traffic away, and so Indonesia was part of this shift of traffic away using the West Coast United States to exchange traffic, and we started doing things within Asia
In
Pacific.
the region.
So there wasn't, the trick of it was, and I'll share the slide so people can see,
Yeah.
right? Because I had these old slides I would do that showed it's the same thing. Everybody got the claim to be the hub. Because see, in those days, Singapore wanted to be the hub, Taiwan wanted to be the hub, Japan wanted to be the hub, Indonesia, everybody wants to be
everybody
the
wants to be a
hub
hub.
of Asia.
Yes.
Right? So with this AP mesh, everybody can do a slide to say, see, we're the hub.
In fact, everybody is a hub.
Everybody's a hub.
Everybody is a
Because
hub.
it's a mess.
Because it's all mesh.
Yeah.
But what it did was it started shifting traffic over
Yeah.
to Asia Pacific.
Yes.
Instead of going to
Right.
US, yeah.
Instead of going to
When
US.
you go to US and it
Right.
connect there.
and Indonesia was right in the middle of that also. So
This initiative, I think, is Francisco.
this was me and Mr. Obata. We were ran around and started teaching everybody because I was still at Singtel,
Yeah.
and it was part of the first Apricot.
Apricot.
Yeah, so Apricot was another initiative, bring people together.
Yes.
Right. So people don't know. Asia Pacific Conference on Operational Asia Pacific Internet Conference on Operational Technologies. We've had a few apricots here in Indonesia, right?
Yes.
Once. And
Once.
our seconds will be 20.
Right. So the idea there is again very what we need here in Asia Pacific. If you only have time and money to go to one conference, maximize.
Yes.
Right? So like if you're in the United States, you fly into a nano. You fly in for 2 days, fly out. Okay, you can afford that. In Asia, you can't afford. It's all international.
Yes.
Yes.
So Apricot is a week and more.
Yes.
And you find conferences like here, IDNOG, we've had 3 days of workshops.
Yes.
1 day
Same spirit. So we have 3 days of workshops, and then we have the conference today, right? So it's how do we help each other? Again, that's the spirit.
Yeah, the spirit.
It's set up the time we meet, so we can actually collaborate, meet, have coffee, eat, laugh, joke,
Yes.
right?
And Apricot become Epics and Peering Asia.
Yes.
Yes. And I will host it this year in November.
Yes. With the parent.
Peering Asia.
Yeah.
Peering Asia.
Yes.
Actually,
Yeah.
Epics, I'm part of initial initiative also with
Right.
Sam and those guys during the meeting in Epic.
So when you think about it, Apex, so if people don't know, Apex has taken the lessons learned from the Indonesia Internet Exchange original design, exchange point, collaborate together. You look at Apex today, it's the grandchild of the original IIX.
Original IX.
Right?
Interesting.
Now, of course, Apex may go, oh, I don't. Oh, it's the grandchild.
And it's still
Of
mess.
the-
Yeah. I mean, it's still mess. I hope that maybe at least we have one really
Yeah.
change. Yeah.
But this is where this history, what you guys are doing here with the history is important.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because you go back and realize that something, you're like, oh, Apex, oh, that's really cool.
And
Now you realize the history. Oh.
that is already done
Well, it's
before.
but it's faster, better, more efficient,
Yeah.
better. It's like
Yeah.
evolved,
Yeah,
right?
it's evolved.
Yeah.
And more people, more interpolation, there's a traffic more, there's a lot happen. Actually, this is a deja vu concept. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same concept before. Only right now we have a bigger traffic. Yeah.
And a lot of different learning and new technology.
All new
I mean,
technology, of course.
we are now pulling right off of the oceanic fiber into exchange points.
Yeah.
Yes.
97, nobody would dream of that,
Yeah.
right? Now, so we innovate,
Yeah.
with different ideas. But that innovation wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the grandparent of the architecture back in 97, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to the. So when it's evolved, so you left BIS.
Mhm. After it was built in 97 and it started, it just kept on moving.
So you don't.
So
keep it
we'll
up.
have to talk to everybody, 98, 99, all this stuff with it because,
Yeah.
again, I was the cheerleader.
But you keep
I helped write it up.
cheerleading
Yeah.
until what year?
97, 98. Once it got built, it started just moving
So you're not
the ball
really,
was rolling.
Yeah, you're not talking to them
because
anymore.
all the energy was going with it. Yeah.
So then.
So I would come in and do a workshop or a conference, and people would go like, "Oh, this is so cool,"
So then after that you get back again to Indonesia, smartphone, yeah.
Yes, yes.
But in between that, you are not really in touch with this company.
we're all talking to each other all the time. The
You,
people ask me,
you keep communicating.
yeah, because we're a
with
bunch
them.
of geeks all talking to each other, right? So
Yeah.
people in different networks here would say, hey, Barry, how do we configure this? How do we set this
Still
up?
support.
Yeah.
You know, all the support, you know.
So you still support Indonesia?
Yeah, because you,
basically.
again, you build these relationships with engineers and you work
Yes.
with each other.
Yes.
Sanjay and I did a lot, like when Sanjaya was starting the security work, he was taking security presentations from me, and he said, hey, can I use these? I said, yeah, take these. Right? We collaborate together, you know,
So
APNIC workshops.
So we can maintain one ID node if in this Discord, one
Yeah.
room for security they can maintain. Do you think you can?
Of course, I'll be there.
Good.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, because young people not using WhatsApp.
Yes.
Young people using Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can we have new people, young people, to do the volunteerism? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If we cannot touch them. Yeah. So we do it on Discord.
So you basically you for the now you
Yeah.
still engage with Indonesian people, but of course one by one, and of
So-
course sometimes in ID node. I know
Right.
you've been twice here.
So, because I've been building networks out, and I will continue to build networks out, even though my mantra is don't retire, keep going.
Keep going.
A lot of my generation in the internet world, nobody's retiring.
Yeah. Yeah, we still meet Fincher before.
We just shift to a different role. So
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to work with Shadow Server Foundation, right, which is a nonprofit,
Yes.
which has companies and organizations and governments that fund it to actually have a threat-free internet. And the way you have a threat-free internet is you help people find a problem and fix it, find a problem and fix it. So Shadow Server, and we'll be doing this on IDNOG webinars, is to say here are webinars of how you can use this free data to protect yourself. So what happened with me, I come into SmartFriend, and my job was to help everybody turn things around. Let's go make money, let's go to 4G. So I went to my boss and said, there's a lot of security problems here. He's like, let's make money first.
Okay.
Priority. I still got security problems. So one of the strengths in Indonesia is that the university education system is working. It's like the example I gave with the hackathon, all those college students, right? The energy is there. So being a good company, SmartFriend, was hiring college grads. So I said, hey, give me a couple of college grads. So I took the college grads and took the Shadow Server data that's free and said, okay, let's take one report. Let's take simple network management protocol. We shouldn't have that on our network. Okay? Like open. We use it, but we shouldn't. Nobody should be accessed it as a hacker. Okay, let's go find it. Here's all the things that need to be switched. Let's go patch it. Put access list on it. Let's write a procedure so we don't make the mistake again. Okay, week 1. Week 2, let's take telnet. Let's do a telnet. Week 3, let's take border gateway protocol.
It's weak.
But within 6 months, these two college students were starting to teach me things about cybersecurity. Again, the energy there, right? So, because I just had to start teaching them, and they just hungry.
Yeah.
So what did that cost? We already hired the college students.
Yeah.
Shadow Server data was free.
Yeah.
Writing up a procedure to make sure you fix it.
And then they can learn by itself.
We're not. Yeah. Now, of course, the company is going like both of them within a year. They got jobs other places.
Yeah, that's it.
Because they're cybersecurity
That's the problem.
guys.
Yeah.
But you see, this is already proven here in Indonesia that something very basic and simple can help reduce your risk,
Yeah.
right? And it doesn't cost much. So if I give an opportunity to help do that with all over the world, which is what I'm doing with Shadow Server.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I think we can do a volunteer job there. In the closing, I I will do a statistic. That's my usually doing.
Sure.
Actually, for ladies also, and ICT for women, and then what's the country for which province? Let's later on put if you hire 2 people. Let's ask for volunteer at least 5 later on.
Yeah.
See what happens in next 6 months.
Yes.
Can we do
Could
that?
be. Could be. Yeah.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
So
Maybe-
remotely. I mean remotely.
Normally help out individuals to do like a
Maybe
like a
maybe in the future when we do things like ID Knock,
Yeah.
we ask people, do you interest to do the volunteerism
yes.
for internet?
Yes.
Yeah. If we
So not only volunteer in it could be like a cybersecurity exercise.
Yeah.
Like there's I would so shadow server we can do work based off of contributions.
yes.
So we go to governments, we go to different institutions. So one of the ones I'm pitching is Microtech. There's a lot of right, a lot in
A lot of
Indonesia
people are not.
Yeah.
that
They're
are
using a
broken
lot.
into,
Yes.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Shadow server, we know all the ones that are broken into. Now imagine a bunch of students, volunteers, being commissioned to go and help Let's Protect, because you can set up and you can configure it to not get broken into.
Yeah.
You don't need the Russian criminals or Chinese criminals using a
Yes.
router here in Indonesia to attack somebody in
How you
France.
close it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do that till not really geeks.
Yeah.
I mean, commoner users.
Yeah.
At least to close certain really vulnerable hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
But most of the time, yeah, we see our friends, the hackers, they are not studying formally. They're
Right.
informally studying about cybersecurity. They do it by themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They're not doing it from the university. Yeah.
So the cyber service is how is it work? Is it you have a collection of database of threat, or you put in some network to collect intelligently?
All of that.
All of that.
So we
So
can
Shadow Server has one of the biggest scanning engines that goes and scan everything in Indonesia scanned twice a day. So it's already scanned. The data's already there.
Yeah.
Right. It has one of the largest sensor honeynet systems in the world,
You know what?
and always works for other groups to sponsor them.
Yeah.
It has one of the biggest malware repository exchanges. So if you collect malware and binaries, you can exchange with Shadow Server and double whatever you have, right? It has plugins to all the different law enforcement organizations. The first.org, it's trusted by governments, right? So Shadow Server will get notified to say, here's a vulnerability coming out next month. Shadow Server, can you set up a scan so we can see how bad it could be? Keep it TOP red, keep it confidential until we announce. Can you set up the sensors so we can find out the bad guys are using it, right? And then all this comes into a report for your organization for free,
For free.
right?
Yeah.
So you get this very high quality report of what the outside can see into your network, but also inside the network. Because law enforcement will go to Shadow Server and says, can you sinkhole this? Here's malware.
Yeah.
So the example I use when I was running security over at Juniper Networks, I would get the Shadow Server report. And one day, every morning, first thing, come in, have my coffee, check my Shadow Server report. Okay, network looks good, And one morning I had 19 computers infected with malware.
Okay.
Okay, I went, oh crap, call my people. Okay, let's pull these computers off. Right?
Yeah.
That saved me so much because we pull them off so quickly, right? And they got through all the defenses. Everything was patched, antivirus is up to date.
Yeah.
Extra.
So it's zero-day
protections on.
attack?
Yeah, it was a zero-day
Zero-day
attack.
attack,
Right?
yeah.
It's
So,
not infecting. It's not infecting anyone to the others.
right, and we stop it from spreading. Right, and just being able to do that. So you not only see with the shadow server data what outside can see in, but you also get infections that internal from the sinkholes with it.
So this is what you do now, yeah? I mean,
Help people
help people.
Find
to
the-
use these reports, but then also do some of the investigations, teach people some best common
This
practices.
is HoneyNet.
HoneyNet is the
Honey-
sensors, yeah.
So HoneyNet,
You also have HoneyNet, so you use them already?
Apchi is actually part of
The
yeah, and we're going to be more collaboration with Apchi.
Okay.
Yeah.
good.
So we need to put more sensors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to put more sensor in our network.
But so I'm going to be doing a webinar later on this year,
Yes.
and I'll probably teach it at like Apricot on how do you put inside your network basically a rack and a VPN server, so you can have organizations like Shadow Server, Team Cumbri, HoneyNet Project, Cyber Green, groups like that, put inside your network. Because when you work with this community of nonprofit cyber, there's a whole bunch of organizations which are not companies, they're nonprofits,
Yeah.
and you help them in your network. What you get back is you basically getting intelligence on your network that's helped protect you. So you don't have to put like extra things in.
Yeah.
All you need to do is say, here's how I set the rack. But you set the rack to protect yourself, because this is like, you don't want this in your network.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a DMZ design.
DMC.
So yeah. So it's like a feedback cabinet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a monitoring system, yeah. So
It's a monitoring system
Feedback
where
by
Yeah.
where you're collaborating with the community,
yes.
right?
So the database was collaborated from everybody,
Right.
but what we are monitoring is ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And helping others.
Oh, and help ourselves.
Because one of the
also.
things that is changed is people think that I can put a wall around my country to protect myself. It doesn't work.
Which is not work.
It doesn't.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't work. You have to collaborate around the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So you take the UK government found this out. So UK government Foreign Office, they're one of the sponsors of Shadow Server, right? And they're doing that because they know that if a computer in Thailand or a computer in Indonesia gets infected, it's not that person's fault.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
got
yeah.
infected.
Most of the time, yeah,
It's-
it's not.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that computer can then be used, so that's a victim.
And
Computer
can
in
be used to
Indonesia,
attack.
that's a victim. And then that computer is then used to attack hospital in UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
You can put a wall around that. So what UK and I think many other governments are going to recognize is what we need to do is help each other. Right? Let's go and help that computer in Indonesia that got infected, help them clean it up, be safer,
Yes.
and then vice versa, because you have a computer in UK who's attacking Indonesia.
Yeah.
It's happening everywhere,
It's happening everywhere. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because it's a network. It's a.
Because we are connected with each other.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
connected.
We are
and
connected.
Actually one.
Yeah.
So
We are in the same
they-
network.
I mean, the hacker looking for the most vulnerable and less secure to infect the rest.
Yeah.
So, you said that you are going to do a webinar, is it? Or
Yes.
Webinar.
Yes, so if you
how
sign
we
up to the IDNOG Discord,
Yes.
right? So there's a
Okay.
pitch for the
IDNOG
Discord.
Through Discord,
We'll
yeah.
put the announcements out there so people can sign up several different webinars to help
Okay,
people.
good. We'll do that.
So
Yeah.
So,
we can tell our audience,
Yes.
Yeah.
join the
You can,
IDNOG
you
Discord.
can invite them by Bahasa Indonesia.
Yes.
Yeah. So, are you targeting the ISP or what? What are you? targeting?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Everybody can join.
IDNOG isn't just for ISPs. IDNOG is for
Yes, correct.
geeks.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a geek conference of, the network isn't the network of the wires. The network is the network of people.
Network of people.
Network of people.
Yes.
I will remember that. Remove the technology. Now is what you see is the people.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It is the people. It is important. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not the
people connection,
technology.
actually.
Yeah.
Right.
The technology is just an enabler.
Because 97, it was 128 between us.
Yes. That's,
Now we're gigabyte and
Yeah.
terabyte.
now we are terabyte. Yeah.
So maybe
So-
at the end we can find
Yeah.
them. So we have been in the present time.
Yeah.
Right? We have been in present time.
We talk about the future now.
And some will talk about the futures.
Futures.
So what you expect from
What do-
IDNOG? How do you see IDNOG?
How do you see in the future?
ID Nog 20.
10 years from now.
Yeah, we're still going to be collaborating with each other,
Yes.
talking about, petabyte speeds.
Yeah.
Petabyte. Yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing will work, even though people say, oh, AI and things like that, it's just going to help us.
Yes.
It's still going to be, I can very much see like 10 years from now, like we have here in the conference area, it will be bigger and we'll have other, different types of phones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still, like we're doing right now,
Yeah.
we're still working with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just talking with
It's
each other.
all about humans with.
Yeah.
I
So
remember this.
if you remember that this is where this is the heart of it.
Yes.
As humans, we won't.
As you know.
But what could be different, right, is that the joy I have when I come to Indonesia, understanding Indonesia, having
Yes.
an opportunity to live here,
Yes.
right, the collaboration here, it's Indonesia, this Indonesian spirit spread throughout the world. Indonesia can do more to go out there and say, hey, here's how we collaborate in Indonesia.
Yes.
There's a lot of places in the world who don't realize this spirit here, and going out and being more like outward leaders,
Yes.
outside of ASEAN in different parts of the world, and people go like, oh, there's things we can learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, this spirit, it's a positive spirit.
Yeah.
We
We can put out the word.
to
Yeah.
the word because we are part of the word.
Gotong
right?
royong.
Gotong royong.
Gotong royong.
Gotong
Yeah.
royong. Actually, piring interconnection, the spirit is
It's
gotong royong.
also gotong royong.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Piring is a gotong royong. Yeah.
Let's put the word again.
Let's put out the word about that. Yeah.
Any last, for Indonesia Internet, just now you say about, I don't know, any expectations of Indonesian
In general.
Yeah, because you are part of it actually.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the entrepreneurial opportunity.
Entrepreneur, but
Because saw this 10 years ago when
Yes.
we were living here, and still see it now. These the energy coming out of universities and the ability in Indonesia, because of the size and the breadth of the country, allows entrepreneurs to do things that you can't do in other smaller countries.
Yes.
Of going to market, taking an idea to market, of tuning it to here's a need within the society, within the marketplace.
Yes.
So I'm really excited. Both my wife and I are always kind of keeping an eye on entrepreneurship going on in Indonesia. Because of the, it's just the environment. So that seeing that 10 years from now will be really interesting to see what happens.
Yes.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
We actually have entrepreneurship competition
Yes.
in our high school.
Yeah. All
Every
down
year.
to high school now.
High school, SM. We do it in the high school now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship competition every year.
Okay, I think let's conclude this. So
This-
I got the words of actually what interconnect you break it down is actually the people's day.
Yeah.
And the spirit of gotong royong, spirit of entrepreneurship. Yeah, thanks for that.
And then don't forget,
Barry.
behind all of this is the people.
Last one,
Yes.
the last one is that you said that 10 years we will do these things and form people's different gadget. I just imagine what kind of gadget actually is.
Maybe we need to see each other in
Oh, it
10 years
doesn't-
from now.
Or maybe it's just touching, or I don't know, like Star Trek like that.
No, you should watch Star Trek. They have actually some predicament
Futuristic
about how about the future.
Yes.
Okay, so there's invitations
Yes.
for the webinar. They will
Yeah.
be happen in will open in Discord of IDNOG.
Yes.
So let's do that.
Ya sudah. Oke, Sobat Kompor. Itulah interview hari ini ya, di ID Nox 9 bersama dengan Om Barry. Banyak insight ya dan cerita-cerita yang menarik ya. Yang ternyata dalam bahasa Inggris.
Singkatnya,
ya.
mungkin saya sangat apresiasi dengan I really appreciate Om Barry. How because hanya orang luar yang bisa melihat kita juga. How
Betul.
Other people see us actually. What our strength actually in Indonesia as a cultural yang bahwa kita punya semangat gotong royong,
semangat kebersamaan,
di Indonesia, semangat bekerja sama, dan entrepreneur juga, dan mau belajar dan bekerja sama tadi itu ya.
Betul sekali. Nah, Sobat Kompor, karena tadi bahasa Inggris,
ya ada satu nanti
bisa manfaat. Ada webinar yang
akan dilakukan
bersama dengan Om Barry. Ya.
Karena kecintaan dia terhadap
Indonesia
dan teman-teman gigs Indonesia untuk di security, kita akan lakukan ini bagaimana supaya mereka belajar dari diri sendiri, dari shadow server itu bisa belajar mempertahankan diri sendiri. Tadi ada disinggung juga. Di mikrotik itu banyak loophole. Banyak lubangnya. Lubang yang harus ditutup-tutupin. Nah, sebenarnya bisa belajar sendiri dari
bukan cuma mikrotik sebenarnya, Linux server.
Ya, banyak. Cuman kan mikrotik paling terkenal.
Ya, mikrotik paling banyak digunakan ya. Oke, Sobat Kompor semua, demikian interview kami hari ini dengan Om Barry. Saya Irwin.
Saya Parlin.
Sampai
closing hari ini. So
thank you.